Okay, so my bike brakes are starting to squeak. You can see the noise they're making. Basically, they've been worn down in 1,000. Once you hit 1,000, you probably need to replace them. Back brakes are still okay, but I'll replace both since the front pads are worn down. So these are Tektro brakes on the Carbo Model X, and they're basically the single screw pads. So you need a hex wrench, and you need basically a flathead screwdriver to force the pads apart. So the first thing I do is to position the bike on its bike stand effectively. What I have is a office desk, office lifting desk, and then I have these basically straps, bungee straps, which I've strapped the bike to, and it's basically just to move the bike up and down to make it easier to work on. You can see how dusty it is. So the first thing I need to do is basically lift this up and then start working on the front first and then the back. You can see I've positioned it so the Tektros are pretty much visible from this end. So what we need to do is get these off, and then since the wheel is pretty difficult to remove, we'll get these off and then shove them back in. So yeah. When you're putting on the new pads, you do need to be very careful because your fingers will contaminate the pad surface. Make sure you wear gloves or don't touch the pads at all. So try not to touch the pads at all, and also get some gloves because finger oils contaminate the pad and then you have problems after that. So here's my thing going up with the controls. And you can see it's basically just a standing desk, so it lifts it up off the ground. And that's now to my normal height, so easier to work on, and yeah, it's a lot easier to maneuver a bike when it's off the ground like this. So here's the Tektros, and we just need to get this thing off with the bolts. I've got screwdriver here with hex heads, so they should do it. The standard Milwaukee, it's got a whole bunch of hex bits. So okay, so you can see the pad is actually held on with these two bolts, and basically the hydraulic line goes from here to the reservoir on the top. And this bolt here is for the actual brake pads themselves. You can see the clip that's retaining it, and so we get this off the disc. The disc looks okay. It's not got any deep scratches or anything, so I guess we just need to replace the pads. It's not been worn that much. So the one that fits is actually this guy. So I'm going to use my auto screwdriver since a little bit easier. Turn it to reverse and shove it in there. That breaks the bolt off, and the second one. These are quite tight, so it did take a considerable amount of torque. Don't lose the bolts. These are the two bolts, and then they should lift off just like yay. And you can see the pads are pretty much worn to the bone, so there's no pad left actually, so that was kind of the problem. So let's get these pads off. They're held in place with a single bolt here, so I'm gonna get those off, and then I'm gonna need to jam a screwdriver in there to make sure that it stays apart, because the new pads won't come on then. So the new pads come in 2 packs, and you can see how thick they are. That's the braking surface. That's the thing. And these are the official brake pads, so they're, what's this say? Yeah, so A10.11 B11A 8720. Yeah, same thing at the back here. And you can see it better once they're out of the packaging. Yeah, you can see how thick these are compared to these guys, which have pretty much zero thickness left. So let's remove them and then see what's up with them. So same thing with this one. Slot it in and then pretty much turn it. Now before you remove the pads, remember that this needs to be kept under tension. So we're going to do that. Let me focus this. Yeah, so remember this needs to be kept under tension, because these are going to pop off once the hydraulic force and spring force comes on it, and then so you're going to have to be careful about this one and jam a flat bladed screwdriver or something else into it just to keep them apart. So yeah, let's do that. It's gonna be tricky for one-handed operation. Also, this is a long screw and they have a thread locker on the end of it. So now to do the awkward, force this out and then clip the new one in. So they come out pretty easily once you jam a new one in. Just make sure you keep the calipers apart. So I pretty much jammed my screwdriver in all the way, and that forces the calipers apart. So you can see it from a distance, and I've tossed out the spring action and the old brake pads. Let's open them up and see what's going on with them. This can just hang loosely, it's fine. So out with the old, in with the new. Let's have a look at these. You can see the old one's pretty much done. You can see this guy pretty much done. Yeah, there's not even like a bit of space left on this guy. I mean, it's gone completely. The pad is toast. Compare that to one of these new ones, and you can see the thickness of the pad here versus the one that's here. It's completely toast, and this one's also completely toast. Pretty much worn down to like bare metal. You can also see the striation marks from the braking action versus the new ones, which are pretty much new. And that's the little clip it goes over. So we'll do that and then reverse the whole process, essentially. You can also see the compound, which is worn out. These are the flakes of the compound, so yeah. I just have to clean the brakes off. I've got this stuff, which is chlorine-free brake cleaner. You can get it from CRC or certified. CRC is probably better. I couldn't find any right now, so from CRC. Yeah, so that cleans all the junk off the and you can see all the junk coming off the bike, dripping down. So there's quite a bit of junk on it. You can see junk got here as well, which you can wash off. So these are good for plastic parts as well. It's brake cleaner, so it's good for brakes. And I'll hose down the disc part of the brake as well, both sides. Don't hesitate to spray it liberally. So, well, that's it dripping down on the floor. And that takes care of cleaning the old brakes. Then old brakes out and new brakes in. These are old, these are the new. And I did read that they do have these wear things. These are wear strips. So if you can see the wear strips, you should basically replace the brakes. Which means it's basically the correct time to replace them. Okay, so now I've cleaned off this thing. I'll be also cleaning off the spring that's here. Okay, so this one is cleaned. It's basically just a spring. So insert the new brake pads into the spring. With the pad surface facing down. So you can see what it looks like. So they're held in place and basically slid into the that's the thing, and they'll be slid into place in the existing holder for them. So basically where my screwdriver is. Now these are ceramic brake pads, so The E series is the more common one, which is the organic brake pad, which has less service life. This one lasted up to 1,000 and 1,100 roughly. So the other ones will last maybe half that. So you basically want these ceramic ones. The metal ones will destroy the rotor over time. You can see the rotor is perfectly fine here. But the metal ones basically are going to destroy the rotor. So you don't want the metal ones. These are sort of in between. They're soft enough not to destroy the rotor and have a long service life, but they're more expensive. So you want these ones, not the E series or the metal ones. And you can see they just click in. Don't forget that these do need rebedding. So by rebedding, it means you have 10 full brake applications and then you adjust them, and that sets them for the life of the pad basically. So you're good for another 1,100 or so kilometers. So these are ceramics. Now I just take my screwdriver and slide it back basically. Slide these pads in and take the screwdriver out. Basically I'm pushing in reverse essentially. Adjust these things so the holes line up. Clamp it closed and then just push in. So you can see I push them in. And you can see that thickness is there and it's aligned correctly, and at the back side you can see that the spring is there and the two rotors. And if I look at the hole, you can see there's a through connection through the holes, so I've installed them correctly. So the next thing I'm going to do is basically close up that hole with the screw that I have. So I have my screw. With the thin thing, and there's my screw. So I'm going to stuff it in there. It's still got a little bit of you can see it's going right through the two brake pads. And all I need to do is basically tighten it up. So switch my screwdriver to forward, and then there we go. And I'm going to tighten this to the correct torque specification once I'm done with it. So once I have it fitted on the rim, I can tighten to the correct torque specification. I won't flip all over the place. I then make sure I'm aligned correctly. You can see that the screw comes out through here, so that's correct, and there's a little gap and that slides in. Align the gap to the this thing and slide it in, and it'll click into place. And then we just gotta fix these two bolts and we should be good. So we go bolt 1, in you go. And I go bolt 2, in you go. just hand tight initially, and then we can torque it down to the correct specification. So now that the brakes are in, let's test it out to see if the squeakiness is gone. So let me see. So it spins freely, and let's brake it. Yeah, you can see it's like dead silent. No squeakiness, nothing. Instant braking action. So yeah, that's the brake pads for the Carbo Model X. Done. Only thing left to do is to take the bike off the rack and bring the rack down. So going on down. There you go, Carbo Model X brake pad replacement. I haven't done the rear yet because it's still got some life in it, so I think the rears last a bit longer than the fronts. No squeaking on the rears yet, so it's all good. But it's basically the same process. You would remove this one, that one, and then the center bolt is there, just exactly like that. And it's got the same center. Let me put a light on it. Yes, the same pads, essentially the same everything. And if we look at that, let's see if it has some life left in it. Yeah, so these things have a little bit of life left in them. So probably going to change it another 200 to 300 kilometers.